points we discussed with you last week. So if you remember some of the points we spoke about, I mean, please help us remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, because our
Jamie,
brains.
how has it been? How has your week been so far in the showroom? Because I know that the automotive dealers opened on Monday. So
I
how
think
was
today
that?
was the first day.
Oh, today was your first day?
Yeah. So we are
Well, how was
live
your
right now,
first
LinkedIn Good night. Yeah.
how was your first day? Good night, LinkedIn. So what we could do, JB, instead of maybe try to remember, what we could do is
Nah,
talk
some
about the things.
we ain't get no echo. It's all
Yeah,
right.
what we could do is maybe talk about the things that we have been doing from a perspective standpoint, just to kind of just to share with folks as to how we maybe identify or generate our business opportunities. All right.
Okay.
Um, excuse me. So I will say for me, over the last just to give you guys some context, we want to just kind of drive the point home as it relates to
Oh wait,
perspective.
hold on. Before we start, up,
Hey,
up, up.
sorry.
Lyndon and Sarah.
All right.
Thank
Sorry
you,
about that.
Zoe.
How could we forget?
Yes, I know outside to get something. That's why.
Yeah. Hope you
Yeah,
all enjoy the new background. We're testing out our new background. And all right. Okay.
yeah.
Right. You
So
were saying London?
yeah, so what we're doing, guys, is that we're just kind of having the conversation as it relates to maximizing our prospecting, and as much as we, excuse me, as much as we always talk about techniques. I would tell you that there are a number of there are some of the techniques. As much as I'm familiar with them, I am still perfecting a few of them. Like I'm actually seeing where certain things for me in prospecting is working really well. So I'm doubling down on that, right? And one of the areas that I've gotten a lot better in within the last few months is really the level of research, but it's gotten quicker for me to identify the right people, to identify the right organizations that I want to talk to, right? So what I've done is that I've broken up my business to focus on 5 industries, right? Now, as much as I'm looking at 5 industries, if someone outside of that scope still wants to have a conversation, I'm open to having the conversation. But because of that, I've actually broken the industries down into other sub industries within there as well. So that for me has kind of opened it up to, even if it may just seem to be 20 companies that are in that five in that industry set, because I'm looking at the broader picture, I am now picking up all of the other small industries in there to see if they may be suitable from a business development standpoint, if they may be suitable from a CRM standpoint,
Right.
if they may be suitable from a sales development standpoint. So last week how we spoke about understanding our quote unquote ideal customer profiles. All right, I've really been able to double down on that strategy, identify folks either by industries or otherwise. And for one of the things that's really worked for me is just by doing that, and I'll maybe share another strategy with you all after JB shares
Yeah.
his.
But okay, so look at what you're pointing out right now, right, London. You know the industries, so you have your ICP because you know the industries that you want to target, that you work best with, that you get the best results out of, and that you
Mhm.
have a higher chance of securing the business.
Right.
Right. So pay
Yes, that's
attention to
correct.
that. That's like a key aspect of when you create the ICP. It makes your selling a lot easier. And this is what we were talking about last week. You have to understand and identify who is best suited for your products or services. And that's where
Hmm.
we see a lot of people fall short in prospecting. For me with prospecting, you remember my strategy again is the opposite of yours. I do a lot of inbound strategy. So in other words, I
Right.
focus on creating a lot of content and starting a lot of engagement with my ideal audience so that it
Excuse me.
allows me now to have a higher success rate with regards to persons who are connecting. So like this week with regards to people on LinkedIn, I think I've done the most amount of onboarding I've done for the year so far. I think I've reached about 11 clients so far just on this month alone.
Right. That's
Right.
brilliant.
So it's been good. And I think I may put a pause in it because I want to like really focus on everybody and
Hmm.
finish up everyone. And again, from what I keep doing now is that remember, I'm not stopping there because business is good. What I'm doing now is that I have people who I'm having conversations with now to put them further into the pipeline. So I'm telling people, yeah, who want to work with me? Yes, you can, but at the end of July. So I'm still
Right.
constantly prospecting to fill people at the top of the funnel in my pipeline right now.
Right. Hey, Sean, good night. Sean Amora is on LinkedIn, guys. And Sean is indicating, Sean is saying, yeah, that's a great strategy because you can even break it down via department, right? So, yeah, Sean, I totally agree with that. Another strategy, and I'll use this one I use for myself, but let's use it in the context of, let's say, for instance, Jamie, right? So, anyone who's been sort of following the content I was doing last month, you guys know I was breaking down some prospecting tips and resources. And I can't remember, to be honest with you, if I shared this one, but this one is where I talk about using recruitment sites. So sites where they have job vacancies, right? But again, when I use the job vacancy, I am looking for specific things, right? So if I see someone that has a job vacancy for a marketing manager or a sales manager or customer service representative or customer success, I already know that I could look at that from a sales standpoint. I could look at that from a business development standpoint. I could look at that from a CRM standpoint, right? And make the respective approaches to those things. So I kind of frequent, I look to see who's asking for what. And I also pay attention to the requirements as to exactly what they're asking for, because it gives you a little bit of insight as to what that person's goals are going to be. And then from there, I now say, okay, if I'm making the approach, if I'm going to give them, let's say, for instance, a month or two for outreach purposes, because it may take them a little while in the hiring process, right? I could at least try to nurture. Here's the cool part. I try to see if they list out who would this person be reporting to, and I try to connect with that person.
Makes sense. I
So
love
if
that
it says-
strategy.
Yeah, if it says the marketing manager is going to be reporting to Jared, the managing director, I try to reach out to the managing director upfront, right? Because I know it's going to take a process, and by bringing this person on, right, I would want to find out what gaps would Jared, the managing director, want this marketing manager to take care of. You understand? So again, you have many different ways and resources that you can use when it comes to strategy. Now I'm gonna stick up in there, JB, to see if you want to add anything else to that. But I'll also talk about how that could work for people who are in the automotive industry.
I would actually like to just start off by just recapping for everybody what we're focusing on. So we're talking about the prospecting strategy simply because right now, given the fact that we are back out in the environment, whether B2B or B2C, you have a lot of opportunity that's out there in the market once we start prospecting. And we were talking about this last week and had really good interactions because we were just talking about all the work that's done before. So like it just jogged my memory, Linda. We were talking about the research that's involved. We were talking about identifying the ID client. I don't think we touched yet on scripts and how to structure your scripts.
No, yeah.
But I know for me, as I say, when it is that you start looking at when I start looking at who I want to target and start creating that list, as you said, and as Sean said, you start formulating these strategies. Yes. As you said, I do the research. I find out who I could outreach. And I think we said it last week as well. When I do research, I could probably find out how many people of my clients, of my friends actually know this individual and can introduce me. Or at least make them aware. And like it works. So even if you're on an individual level, and actually let's talk about this main thing with prospecting, which works. I'm not sure if I mentioned it, but we spoke about letting people know that you're open. Because remember, we were closed for a long period of time. One of the first indicators you should be doing is just putting out a general message to your base to let them know you're open. And if you're using your email tools, you would actually see what's the open rates on this and then engage with the person so open and so that you start conversations, especially if those persons were prospects who you're trying to sell your products and services to.
Excellent.
Easy strategy.
Man. Totally agree with that. Yeah. It all comes down to the strategy. So let me just go back into the looking at the recruitment sites, right? So this is your Trinidad Jobs, your Jobs TT, your Caribbean Jobs, right? Those. Mm-hmm. So let's say, for instance, Jamie, because Jamie is on this call. Jamie is selling cars. Remember, one of the reasons why sometimes people buy new cars is because they may have gotten that promotion, and the promotion may reflect. So that higher paying job, one of the things that they may want to do is move that into a brand new vehicle, right?
Yep.
Excuse me. So those are people that you would want to start looking at, or you would want to start prospecting as it relates to that. let's say, for instance, you see, and actually I saw it sometime this week, right? I saw that there was a vacancy for a project manager. What if I have a solution that supports project management, right? So then I could now say, okay, well, this particular organization might need a project manager, or they may need a project management solution, because you don't want to be managing doing Gantt charts the old-fashioned way. You might want to digitize it and stuff like that, right?
Exactly.
So you could look at those sites, right, and start building on your strategies. Because again, I always like to say prospecting isn't hard enough once you understand how to do it properly, right? And I try to double down on that to show a lot of people the different ways that you could prospect. In terms of, so yes, you want to be able to bring leads to you, but on the days where, okay, your lead flow isn't as strong, there's nothing wrong with maybe saying, you know what, I've seen something happen in there. Let me go after that, you know.
So
And
let's put this into play, Lyndon. Let's use the correct way, because I think this will help people understand it easier. What Lyndon is describing there, fuel, is a trigger event. And if you understand what trigger events are for your industry, that allows you to get extra stuff coming into the pipeline. So as he said, a company's hiring in the project management sector, you selling project management software, that is an excellent introduction for you, because I would even context it to the extent to say, hey, hi, Lyndon. Jared calling from X and Y software company. We noticed that you just recently bought on somebody new to your team, or advertising for somebody new to your team. And what we actually help companies do is provide better updated software so that their project managers could work more efficiently. Now, given that you're expanding the team, is this something that you may be interested, or are you looking at, or actually have you started that discussion or research as yet? And I start the open conversation that way. So think about it, like, what are my trigger events?
Yeah, and this goes up the channel too, right? So look at it like this: if someone is looking at bringing in say, you can ask them particular questions along the lines as to why are you hiring this new person. I mean, you wouldn't ask them that bluntly, right? But like, why are they making this particular hire? What would have happened to the last person? But again, to remember that if you're looking at these sites are good resources to help you identify potential leads and opportunities, right? Another thing I honestly like to do when it comes to prospecting, and this actually came up, so I shouldn't say I like to do, but this actually came up last week when I was talking to my accountant, Andrea. I think I would have shared it in a post this week, is, and this kind of blew my mind, like, why the frig didn't I think about this, right? This was, we were talking about, because she has some history in a particular sector, I was asking her, well, how can I get more information about this particular company? And she said, well, why don't you just look to see what were their last reported financial reports? And I was like, oh crap, that is brilliant.
That's a good
because
point.
The financial reports of a company, gives you a lot of insight as to what's happening in that organization. It would also tell you if it is that they made new acquisitions, then that could be an adjustment in cost, right? If it is that they invested in new software, that could be an adjustment in cost. So if they made gains, they normally state why it happened. If they made a loss, they normally stated why it happened. And based upon the information that you pick up in those financial reports, it can tell you as to what the company is currently experiencing and the direction that they're going into in the future. And when we sat down and we spoke about it, I was like, yo, that is like, if and this could be from a solution sales standpoint. So if anybody's looking at maybe going into certain large accounts, if you want to be going into particular large accounts, or you want to understand what's happening in an industry, that one bit of information alone could let you know, okay, well, if this credit union is doing this, or if this financial institution is doing this, or if this construction company is doing this, what about the other construction companies? What are they experiencing? You understand?
Yep.
So again, when it comes to prospecting, you have many different strategies, but it goes to show too that, and I remember seeing this when I was at Massey, that sometimes you have to kind of talk to everybody within your organization, right? So you just trying to do it for yourself is one, but the financial controller or a finance person would be able to give you a lot of insight as to what you could be doing or what to pay attention to about your customer, right? Because by talking to them, they can say, well, Lyndon, have you considered this with them, right?
Yeah.
And then you
True.
say, you know what, I really didn't consider that, you know? So again, those things are really nice, different ways as it relates to prospecting that for me, it's giving me new things to explore that I am really, really enjoying right now. Yes, I still do the scripts, but in terms of finding the new leads, brilliant for me so far.
And let me ask everybody who's joining us tonight. Let us know what is your job, what is your job title for those on IG, etc. What is the industry, and then are you actually doing prospecting right now? And if you are you having troubles right now? Because we would love to answer any of those questions as well.
Yeah.
And I would say my only trouble with prospecting right now, because I focus it on the responsiveness of an inbound channel, is sometimes just getting people to respond, because I realize for a lot of persons, just that simple understanding of technology, some people literally don't check their DMs. It's not on purpose. They just never thought of clicking the inbox. And that I would say is one of the challenges that I have. But I think through one of the things I always stay consistent with, and that's the correct word, is just being consistent on the platforms and not reaching the person, because I think eventually those persons actually check their inbox or check their messages at some point in time. The only thing I think I want to work on better this year as well is a call to action, and that works at different cadences. So sometimes you call somebody and it might be the first time you're calling them. What could be a call to action for them to prompt them to call you back? That's something I want to make sure and improve on going forward this month. Or even, as they say, to build that interest, where I could tell they start searching me before they even make the outreach. So at least I know I build the interest. Right. And that's just some of the things. Because I know you want us to touch on scripts and stuff, but let us know. But yeah. Hey Brent, good night.
Yeah, so Brent, good night. Tisha, good night. Amiel, good night. Financial Therapy, good night. So yeah, those, as I said, those are just some of the things that I look at as it relates to prospecting. I mean, I always tell people I come from the old school, and I do a few things that are new school related. The other things that I do would have been the email marketing side of things, but that's because the email marketing goes out for people who are already part of the database. I would have identified them. I would have gone ahead and figured out who are the people I need to connect with. Who I need to connect with in that space, and then from there I will structure the email to do exactly as you say, to get a call to action. Now, you don't always get the trigger. Like, the state of email right now is pretty low in terms of response rate. So it could just be the period that we are in with email overload and stuff like that. But another thing too, as it relates to let me just mention this with the prospecting, is using your other channels, like your Facebook and stuff, to identify the respective prospects. Okay, so yesterday again I did it. I saw someone.
Not just identify it, at least have outreach as well. Because
have an outreach, right?
You wanna decide what's the best channels to reach somebody on.
So I saw someone on LinkedIn, right? No, someone reached out to me on LinkedIn, right? And I wasn't familiar, but their LinkedIn was very vague. And then, when I looked at where they work, I couldn't find information with that as well. So what did I do? I went onto Facebook, right? And I took the time on Facebook and did the research, and guess what? I found the person. So I was able to get a little bit more context about the individual. So when we do have that conversation, guess what? The conversation, I at least have a better appreciation as to who I'm speaking to, right? As it relates to the conversation and their needs. Now, again, the same thing could be done when it is that you are doing those things for your prospecting, and you could use that information that you found on those platforms and build it into your scripts. So I would, if I doing certain things, I might write about, let me just say it like that. You can use certain things that you find on the respective platforms and build it into your scripts based upon how competent you are in terms of writing good scripts.
No, and again, you could use things to catch people's eyes. So here's the thing: when we talk about prospecting, I think you have to understand and utilize a personalized approach when it is in making the outreach, and that's in terms of when you're reaching out to individuals. Like, I just recorded a video on this tonight, just talking about the fact of why people who just connect and pitch, why it fails. And I saw an example today. I was doing some training with John Barrows today, and somebody literally just went onto somebody's profile, looked at it, researched, and then what was so interesting is that the person had a weird description, like they was using Alice in Wonderland to describe what different aspects of marketing is, and the person contexts that into their outreach message.
Right.
which I think he said, like, for example, our organization helps you track the rabbit's activity all the way to the meeting with the queen.
Mm.
And when they saw that, and that was just the only sentence, and he said,
Right.
and then the other sentence was the generic part of
Right.
this is what we do and help companies with, and
Right.
the person he responded immediately.
Immediately. Right.
Right? Let me tell you, and I'll, Brent, I'm going to read your comment just on. Let me tell you a perspective that worked for me. Here's a simple tip. There's a wild one, but again, this one involves work. But I did it once and it worked perfectly. Like I got back a response in 5 minutes. If you have a prospect that you're really trying to get onto, find a street with their name, a street sign, right?
Mm-hmm.
Find a street sign with their name and take a picture in front of the street sign and just put the subject, hey, I happened to be on your street today.
I think I lost the stream on Instagram.
Yeah, no, seen it too, and I don't know why.
Someone called.
Oh, you probably had to jump back in.
Yeah.
That's okay.
So
You jump out and I'll pull you back in. So let me repeat that again, right, folks? Yeah, you had to jump back in. Let me repeat that for you, folks. When it says that you, and good night, Haji, good night, Jonathan, BMW boss. So, London. I'm not seeing you, London. You're not there. Yeah.
Coming in now.
So,
you go ahead, though. Yeah.
No problem. So what I was saying is that, so this client, I'd reach out to them. I was just trying to get some follow-up and get their attention, but this is something you could do in prospecting as well. And I literally just put I was a picture of me smiling with the street name in the background, and I attached it as a small image with the picture just saying,
Right.
I happen to be on your street. Right?
Right.
And when the person answered it, they literally responded with the laughing emoji, because it said, good one, Jared. It's like, thanks for reaching out, been really busy, but I like how you interrupted my day. Right? It works.
Yeah, it does. You have to find some creative ways. And, as you mentioned, Conway today shared the thing with me as it relates to the subject lines. My subject lines are direct, but they're short. And I think that also captures, and it's very specific about certain things that I'm seeing in the industry. So far, through HubSpot, I've been able to really track the responses. And I would say I get some pretty okay open rates. It's not over 50%, but I'm not sure whose open rates are 50% and up. But at the end of the day, though, you want to make sure that you do certain things to at least start engagement. As you said, even if you're looking at inbound, right?
Yeah.
Outside of social selling, right? Inbound works in a way where you can actually now leave breadcrumbs in particular areas in your organization or on your social on the digital platforms. So whether it's via your website, whether it's via your Facebook channels. Because today, while doing something with an organization, they were asking me, well, how the customer made it here? And I was saying, well, the customer converted into a lead and then a potential customer because of what marketing did. And because marketing did a good job of putting the information out, writing a good copy, having a good call to action, the customer made it further down in the funnel. All right. So all of those things are your little, and of course, whatever the flyer was, whatever the advert was, it captured the attention of that particular customer or clientele. Right. So that goes back to putting the right type of context out to capture your quote unquote ideal customer profile. So
yeah. Let me just pull up Brent points, right? So he's saying, good night, guys. I cold call for sale by owner, yard signs, expired, listen to some of the ways I prospect. His industry is real estate and on the buyer side. So he's trying to use digital media to educate buyers, which is excellent in terms of that outreach. Medina said she did subject lines similar to telegrams, which I think is good. Brent Lewis loved the idea I did at DHL email marketing, but educating persons. That is great in a B2B setting. That's great at staying top of mind. And again, if it is dependent on the industry, like you could honestly work that into a strategy of just keep educating customers. Right? The other one I'm looking at is they help engagement when they enter the actual email imagery. Imageries is essential. So yeah, so let's put things in perfect context. And Karen on LinkedIn is bringing up a good point, Linda, that you want to stress on, right? What I would recommend, what I'll say now, low-C point. Right. Sorry, Jamie. I just wanted to give specific examples. Sorry. So Brent, what I would do is that if I'm prospecting to persons, I would literally send like a picture that's saying, are you interested in getting a soul sign on your house? And talk about the key ways that is actually going to happen. And that could be like an introductory prospecting email. Jamie, if I was you and I know I have prospects to deal with, I would literally have a picture of my car, even a GIF, because a GIF is more animated, with you like doing, hey, look your Honda City CNG here. Just waiting for you to test drive. Call me for a quick call. All those little simple little things, hey Debbie, good night, can actually work. Let me just highlight Karen's point, because if I know Karen Insurance, right? How can I prove my social media presence and content? Building my prospecting pool. All right. First, create content. All right. Everything you know about insurance, you just need to post a video on it. Not one video on everything. Just have one idea and just post that one thing. And then that other one thing, post that one thing. And then that other one thing, post that one thing. So for example, life insurance, post that one thing. Many insurance advisors really underestimate the fact about just posting what life insurance is, because they think everybody knows. Most don't. And most haven't heard it from you in your perspective and your way, in your tone and in your voice, which is what is going to get you the business. That alone.
Please make sure, JB, to indicate there to Karen, it should not be guilt selling, right? Or humdrum selling, that kind of thing.
You gotta get life insurance because COVID coming in. You hear?
Please,
Linda, you hear that story happened with NIB the other day? NIB shutting down, you have no pension. Those things don't work. Educating your audience works. That is how you improve your social media presence. Literally educating your audience. That is what you need to focus on.
Yes.
If you do that, you win. Right? Random idea just popped up. Brent, in real estate, if you have people who are looking to buy homes, I would send out my email specifically about what is the latest artist listing that you have out right now.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Again, short little quick picture. Right? Are you interested in seeing this beautiful home?
And you're doing that on your social platforms.
Yeah.
Sean Best on LinkedIn is saying, agreed on trying to get one of your clients, an insurance agent, to use social media presence. Yeah, because
Shane, I think you should connect with Karen and assist them if social media is what you do. Because I think that social media management and guide is what a lot of insurance advisors need to understand first before they put that content out there.
Yep.
I think you all should connect. And by the way, that and I'll say specifically for LinkedIn, you all have a negative stereotype here, so you don't want to connect with somebody and pitch. You want to create content. If somebody engages with the content, you use that engagement to start your conversation with them. That's how I prospect on LinkedIn. That's literally all I do.
Yep.
If people engage with my content, I use that to start conversations. I don't pitch anybody in my inbox. And Karen, you remember too, when you and I connected, I sent you a video. Simple. Just to say thanks for connecting. I don't pitch anything. If you have the content there, that value will eventually bring people into your pipeline. And that's what we keep talking about a lot. What you'll miss out to in prospecting is that you're not prospecting with enough people. Because something that I understand is that I have customers who might take 2 years to do business with me, and then have customers who will take 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
If you prospect enough, you have enough people coming through your pipeline that eventually fall in at different points. Small, medium, and large. And you always have stuff going on in your pipeline.
Another thing to add there too, right? So like I remember, because what's going to happen too, guys, is that as you're doing, whether you're doing it on you're doing your social selling side of things, or you have people that's actually falling in, into your pipeline, into your database. You don't just want to just have leads in your database. Again, another question that came up today when I was doing some training, the person was asking, so what happens with the customer? So yes, the customer now comes into the CRM. What do we do next? So I had to encourage them to say, listen, this is where now your marketing has to keep nurturing. So even though the customer is a lead, and yes, they would have filled out a form and they made it downloadable, they have not made a decision, or no one has spoken to them. And if it is that your strategy is one where you want to be able to direct them or walk them through the funnel or warm them up some more through, let's say, your content and using it as email marketing, you want to make sure that you have that content written out in such a way that it's specific to them, so that you wouldn't be sending a CEO valuable tips and information as to how to use a piece of equipment and this and that. You want to give the CEO information as relative to the CEO, while you're giving the end user the information as relative to him. That's all contextual content as it relates to that. But email marketing for me has actually been one of my success areas, because I write it and point it in such a way where it's not scattered. So it's not just me trying to blast everyone, right? I mean, I would have given the story about that one email marketing email that kind of grossed me over 30K. But the thing is too, I've also seen other instances where I've gotten some trickle effect, whether it's from entrepreneurs doing business, taking HubSpot or asking me to come and help them and support them in terms of building their strategies, because when I'm doing the business development for entrepreneurs, so even that in itself does its part. As a matter of fact, too, I actually saw someone from the past who was already in the CRM or part of the database go onto the website, look at something, and then she came and she asked me a question, but I could track it. So again, if you're using content as part of your prospecting and nurturing efforts, and this is why, again, even though you are putting content out, this might be, I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with this, right? Even if you are putting content out, your content shouldn't just be to bring in leads at the top of the funnel. Because if you already have customers that are in your database, how are you now moving those customers throughout? So which means your context has to change at different days or that kind of thing, because you want to be able to move people along in the process, give them more information, build the trust so that they can take some sort of action at some point in time.
I think one of the things I also heard them saying, and when you're prospecting, right? So if for those of you who utilizing email marketing or want to, think about it this way. If you know there are different stages that customers go through in your pipeline and they enter at the start, you have to ask yourself, if I have 5 stages in my pipeline, what are 5 pieces of content that I could put in my pipeline that automatically goes to the customer to keep me top of mind and moves the process along even if I'm not there? So that serves as a reminder. So like, think about it, an industry piece, did you probably like 2 or 3 did you knows, and probably like a customer testimonial. Simple little things that gets people moving along. Good night, that gets people accustomed. Look, so Karen and folks, send me your industries so I could give you all examples, because I think if you all know me, I always come out with like just random creative ideas. And I'm going to share with you something I saw Fill the Gap did, Karen, which was important. Insurance advisors are selling the fear that NIB collapsing. You know what Fill the Gap did? Fill the Gap spoke to alternatives to NIB. That is what you need to sell. Because they don't want to scare people. What you want them to, remember, what you're on social media for is to educate. It's to educate and make people aware. So instead of saying you should get insurance because NIB closing, what you need to tell them is the impact that it will have, but also to what are the alternatives. That is what you need to focus on. Right? I seen Innovare here. If I'm not mistaken, Innovare, you guys keep us cool sometimes when the weather is hot. If I remember Innovare correctly.
Yeah, that's what I think they are.
Like, if actually was a good way to prospect if I was Innovare, boy. I'll think about that as we continue the convo. Because I know you think, because the thing is, you think air conditioning is no longer a luxury, it's a necessity. So everybody wants to have an air condition in their house. But I would want to think of like, okay, that is the obvious. But what do I say to get it drilled into the person's mind to at least reach out to me, or at least to say, listen, I want to find out more information. Like, that's the question I need to think of. And I'll figure it out probably by the end.
We have 107 events plus on Instagram saying that they are in the space of events, right? So I think that they are looking for, well, as you mentioned, putting the industry and looking at, particular ways of building on your prospecting, right? So, and then the other one is, well, Debbie's just saying air conditioning. Air conditioning is a competitive.
Very competitive.
Very competitive.
That is okay. So then, all right, let's focus first on 107, right?
All right.
Hey, Sasha. So 107 events, given the fact of what's going on with the event industry, I think what you have to understand is what the event industry has gone to, which is again the virtual events. The question now for the virtual events is to help persons realize, have you actually, I talked about this with a client today. Let us know in the chats, right? Hey, Candice, let us know in the chats. Like, tell us in the comments, honestly, folks, tell us in the chat for those who are watching. I want you all to be honest. How many of you all are looking at this and have looked at our backgrounds? Let me know. Be honest. Yes or no? Have you looked at our backgrounds on this live so far?
Specifically for the LinkedIn folks. Oh, backgrounds. Okay,
backgrounds.
Meaning that, Instagram as well. Yes, correct.
Instagram. Have you looked at what's behind us? Let us know. I'm sure you all have. Nobody.
Nothing as yet. It may come in soon enough. But we can continue.
Yeah. Here's the reason why, right? The reason why I say this is because you want to, like, if I look at the event space, I want to highlight the fact that, and just show like a quick survey of the fact that a lot of people now look at your backgrounds on Zoom calls and lives. So do you want to have like a shabby looking background, or do you want to have a 107 event space to make the event look high end? And then you could probably even use those for some of your promotions. And with that promotion now, that kind of allows you to up the level of the price of your tickets and stuff that you're offering, because you're not just putting it on a Zoom background, you're actually putting it in a physical space with some of the best high-end furniture, which is what I think 107 events provide. Like, that is what you need to look at. Like, honestly, that's what I was talking to that today with a client of mine. Like, the reason why I want, like, you're talking about using office spaces, and you're talking about the fact that you want to use an office space is simply because everybody looks at your background. And if you do like what your background looks like, you want to go in a nice professional space.
You want to go in a nice professional space.
Yeah. And like, you know, especially like if you're going on job interviews, you don't do a job interview in your house because your house might not be looking the best. Everybody have different situations. Yep. But you can go in an office space. They see how you sell it is this. In an office space, you can make it look real high end. So instead of you getting offered 10 grand from a company, they might offer you 13 because your back end look good. And they can tell it's not green screen. Just saying. That's just me. That's how I think. That's just how I think. Yeah. Right? I look at the background.
I would want to say too for 107 events, because you would already have customers that's in that particular space, because you want to maintain the customers that you have, right? So if you can use, I'm not sure if you do it, if you guys do it now, but by just using email marketing strategy, talking about what customers should be doing now, because remember, you have customers that are supporting other customers. So instead of just telling them about you, educate your customers as to what you think that they should be doing right now. And as a matter of fact, I might say this could be a part of your prospecting as well. So if you guys have a website, maybe start putting blogs out indicating as to what customers like yours could be doing right now to maintain maintain the customer database, or alternatives, as we were just talking about, to in-person events, maybe switching it to virtual events, or teaching them how to do virtual events better, because they may not always want to pay for the support. So how do you do a better looking Zoom meeting, or how do you do particular sessions through Google Meet, right? So again, the more that you can keep educating your customers, and also putting some of that content out there on your social media platforms, not social media platforms, social media, and also as a blog, those things also help attract customers into your database, and it can also help convert customers down the funnel. I also want to make this point. What has also been very beneficial for me from a prospecting standpoint, and also towards closing opportunities, I think I may have said this before in a previous conversation, have been webinars, right? So again, if you want to start bringing people into your funnel, or if you want to start converting people down your funnel, a marketing event like a webinar could be hosted, and it could be specific to an industry. It could be. Here's the thing: you could be specific to an industry and a specific level of people in that industry. For instance, I only want to talk to CEOs who's in the construction industry, because this is what I want to talk about, right? So you could be very, very granular, or you can be very broad. But webinars have filled my funnel, and they've also helped pay the bills, because of the fact that what we do on the webinars now, there is a way to now conduct your webinar, and you're putting a sales process into that webinar. So when your webinar is finished, right, do you have an email that goes out right after your webinar offering something, whether it's a downloadable? You just look at the level of engagement, and you work a funnel, because at the end of the day, it's not just a matter of hosting a webinar and getting people to come in, but how does your sales team, or how do your individual sales strategies trigger for that? So when I host a webinar, right after the webinar, there's an email that goes out telling people thanks as soon as the thing is uploaded, and there's a little funnel that's going to work with them for about approximately a week. And I actually go with the most engaged person. So as soon as that webinar is done and the email starts to go out, I look at the person who's most engaged, and I start from there. So I start with the most engaged person in terms of the lowest on the funnel, and then I go back up. The other thing too, when you're looking at your webinars, look at who has been saying a lot. So pay attention to the chats in the webinar. Don't just take it for granted that you had a lot of engagement.
Yep.
I spend time and I go through the chat and I listen to what people are saying, right? I record all of my webinars and I listen to it for myself, right? I sometimes take the time and listen to a webinar 2 or 3 times, right? Because I want to pick up on certain things that people are saying. So again, the point is, as much as we're talking prospecting, yes, you want to bring people into your funnel, but how do you work them down? There's two different things here. You just want them to come in there and stay, because after a while they're just going to get a bottleneck, right? More people are going to come in, but you don't want to work those people down that funnel, and build from there. And actually, I see in Cassia Marina here, and I would also want to say, podcasting is a growing thing, and I've been learning about it some more within recent time. Yep. And podcasting is another thing that has a high level of engagement. Just from the research that I've been doing, some of the highest levels of engagement, other than other forms of
anybody here listens to podcasts? Let us know.
Yeah, other than other forms of content, and it also helps convert your customers. So there are different ways that you can look at certain things. And again, you can have call to actions in your podcast. I mean, again, you have many different ways that you can do stuff. But if we're talking about prospecting, boom, it helps.
Yeah.
Tremendous.
So let me just go back to just to give 107 just some additional stuff. So like what I would do, we were talking about trigger events with regards to prospecting. I would look at who my target market and who my audience is if I understand that ICP. And then I would look for trigger events. So do they have AGMs? Do they have board meetings? Do they have special events coming up? And that could be the trigger for you to start the conversation to talk about your products and services for your organization, to think about that specific trigger event. Mm-hmm. What I would do for Innovare, think about this Innovare. I don't know if it's still there. Let me know in the messaging, right? But let me see. Yes. Yeah, because Cassie has a constant podcast that I know a lot of people listen to. It's top notch. Like, if you're not subscribed, you're missing out. But in Innovare case, her Karen Rose, Jalisa, it has some good ones.
That's correct. And very correct.
Yeah. So here's how I would look at it for Innovare. My trigger event in particular is outbound, specifically on days like today when it was mostly sun. And I use that with my outbound team to constantly make calls out to different areas that will be experiencing it, to just start that outreach with customers, right? The other simple thing that you could probably do, of course, is drive around in different areas. So you can look for different trigger events, places that have no air conditioned units, places that have air conditioned units but might be looking old and outdated, because they could highlight the fact that it probably not giving it proper air, it costing you too much on your bill. Like some of those things they could physically go around and actually do and actually generate business. If you know there's an area that you could hit, a highly densely populated area that the team could go out into, that is literally a prospecting. And it may be easier than actually doing the calls. Yeah,
I can tell you one thing that we tried to do before I left Massey. We were actually preparing our reps to, and this like, I mean, I'm not sure if Innovare does this, right? But I'm just saying, because again, you're looking for prospects and prospects to turn into business. We were actually preparing our reps to fix other people's copiers, right? So if it was a separate brand, we found a supplier abroad that was actually supplying all of the parts, right? And so we were preparing our guys, and also those guys also fix other copiers. So they were offering us some training, and I mean a copy as a copy, it may just be a little bit different inside, right? So they were offering the training to my team to fix everybody else's copiers. So whether it was Xerox, whether it was HP, whether it was whatever it is. So if, like, for instance, Innovare, right? Again, if you want to expand on that, Innovare could actually now maybe look at how, as you said, you go out and you look for older, what do you call it? Older AC units. If you
Yep.
want to start by providing the service, let's say the person doesn't have the money to invest, but you could do a little service, you could do a little touch up. Then you do that, you start building the relationship with the customer, and that works. You know what's interesting? Here's a really, really, really good idea. I saw from a parts company. I may have shared it with you before.
Right.
And this is YouTube, right? So Innovare and anyone else. So a lot of us would have gone onto YouTube to figure out how to do certain things, right? There's a company that they were actually, and I'll use maybe Innovare as an example. They actually showed how to repair an AC unit, right? So they were showing people how to repair the AC unit. Here's the interesting thing though. They don't sell AC units. They sell the parts. So we carry the parts that would fix an AC unit, right? So they're showing that based upon their expertise, we have the parts and we're showing you how to be more quote unquote self-sufficient, right? And that in itself generated a lot of business for them. So YouTube is another area where you can use that platform, because we have a lot of people, before they even make a call for service, they try to fix it for themselves, do it yourselfers, right?
Yep.
So if you have something out there that is showing people in a contextual way and it's local and people can connect it, that's a really great way to show how you can get this thing done for yourself. Oh, and yeah, by the way, we sell the parts. You understand? That's an immediate
And it's
way
a
of building
win-win.
trust. Yeah, that's a win-win, because you've made me a lot more self-sufficient in terms of doing things. I'll go by you. I don't have to worry about where I'm getting the parts anymore. I already know that you have it, right? And you've kind of walked me through the steps as to how to fix this thing. I found that one from that parts company was a brilliant idea, and it converted a lot for them.
And that just creates inbound opportunities.
Yes.
But again, in both cases, I think it's easy just to do the inbound or the outbound, because if I was in the air conditioning company right now, I would just literally, again, look for things that have new construction or things that have just started to build construction. Like if I understand where my trigger points are, that allows me to understand how it is that I can actually do the prospecting. And again, like trigger events supposed to be days like when the sun hot, right? Like as weird as that sounds, because those are the days you'll have persons most stressed out if it is that they don't have air condition.
Yeah, loss
Like
of
I'll have the
productivity,
highest amount of activity.
Yeah.
It's just easy. But you see what happens. So here's the one thing I'll put as we kind of wrap up in terms of why you look at prospecting. And if anybody wants to train what their occupation is and looking for some tips on it, you have to understand that you have to make errors with it over time, and you have to try different things. So like, again, something I keep learning from John Barrows is you have to split test everything, right? So I would actually look for example, how to put it? I would literally try 2 different types of messaging to send out to clients at different times and see which one gets the better response.
Yeah, so you do an A/B
Right?
test.
Correct. So like, but you see, that's the other thing which I think people fall with regards to prospecting. Not only are you not split testing, but you're also not recording the results. So therefore, you're not sure how things working out, when they're working out, and why they're working out.
Mm-hmm.
And therefore, and of course the opposite, why it's not working. So therefore, your team not recording anything, and therefore you still keep butting their head. So like all those things you need to also consider when you're doing these prospecting activities. Because for me, I know, like for example, with LinkedIn, I fine-tune my message. I understand how to reach out to people on that. And I still keep improving and tweaking on that message to make it better and better. But if it is that you find now that you're prospecting, the ICP may be bad, the lack of research might be bad, the information and stuff might not be there, so it is you're kind of suffering. Okay, hold on. Jana Janelle dropped in that she does massage therapy, Lyndon. Massage therapy. Okay? So my first thing is, one, I would call persons and I would start actually let's look at outbound in terms of strategy, right? Inbound strategy with content. You need to talk content of what it is that people get from a massage, which is one, I'm sitting down all day. My feet hurt from sitting down all day because they're not getting circulation. My back hurts, my neck hurts, right? And then what you're showing somebody who is relaxed because they're taking your weekly massage therapy service, because it's probably a home service that you're delivering to them, right? So that you can make them feel better, less stress, less visits to the doctor, or no visits to the doctor, because they're constantly getting massage for their joints, their back, their neck, etc., their feet, and they're less stressed out at home.
Right.
Right.
Could we add some additional things to that too? Because So everything that you just said there, if you're going to a doctor, you are spending money, right? You are spending money, and doctor visits or poor circulation, all those things can have complications later on. So if you're doing massage therapy and your massage your application would help things like circulation and stuff like that, those are the things that you will want to touch on. Because again, if I am uncomfortable, if my back is hurting and stuff like that because I'm not sitting properly and stuff like that, guess what? I maybe can't work. Right? So there are many different things that from coming out of your massage therapy that you can do towards educating. So you could even say that a lot of my customers come to me with back pains, and the back pains stem from poor posture while sitting. So what
so
you
could show them how to sit properly.
You show them how to sit. Now, you don't want to, let me just say it like this. Don't get afraid by saying, well, if I show my customers how to sit properly, then they wouldn't come again. That's not true, right? You are actually giving them value as to how to improve on their posture, because it's not just so much so about your business. We know that bad posture has long lasting life effects, right? So you want to make sure that you are giving people these things. So even while you're applying massage, you talk to them, but also after they become a customer or before, you can talk about those things. So you can talk about the problems that other customers have been experiencing, because that will connect with your customers. It's like, yeah, I experienced the same thing. And they fall straight into your funnel. And then you start going down the line from there. I saw your face just now, Jared. I'm not sure if...
Christian Paul brought up a good point, which is sports persons and stressed out persons. Exactly. Mm-hmm. Here's the other thing you need to study to massage therapy. The places are going to open back up, which means people are going to start back exercising and being outdoors more, which means we're going to have sore muscles for some of us, because some of us haven't been exercising properly because we've been indoors. So immediately, I would put out messaging with regard to my prospecting of people who will be looking at what the future is going to be for people. Whereas, as I say, you're still either hunched over from working at home, or your body feeling sore because you're trying to get your body ready for carnival, and they now open back the parks and all the exercise areas. Yep. So what it is that you do is that you're educating people on, one, how to keep their body healthy, but two, the benefits of a massage. And the persons who are interacting with that content, you need to start engaging with them and sending them messages. Like, honestly, if I was you, especially if your main channels are like Facebook and Instagram, people who are engaging with your content, send them an offer. Thanks so much for engaging with the content. Just wanted to send you a discount, a 10% discount code, so you can actually take advantage of my massage services. Like,
right.
Simple. Yeah.
As in Cassie is saying here, build trust by offering value. Then you stay top of mind when they are ready for a massage. That's perfect. And correct. Brent is saying the amount of people called him about rent to own this week. And he just had to educate them on the advantages and disadvantages of that. So people are calling Brent to ask him about rent to own. Guys,
yeah, but Brent, create content on that. Create content on it, so correct. That you don't have to be answering every single phone call. You could just literally put that out and answer all the questions. Right. Medina, you need to clarify for me, because she asked, how do you picture somebody who isn't looking? And that is technically, especially if it's totally not a regular but easy persuaded based on you need to clarify that for me, Medina. But here's the thing.
Can I answer that?
Yeah.
So you have three types of buyers at different stages, right? You have people who are interested, undecided, and then not interested at all. If someone is not looking, you can't pitch to that person, right?
Yeah.
You have to nurture that person throughout a particular period. Here's the thing though, it doesn't mean that they could not be looking now, but it doesn't mean that they don't believe that you are a good provider of your services.
Yeah.
By you staying top of mind with them, I always like to say no customer is not a good customer for me unless they totally unsubscribe, right? So if there's a way that you are consistently nurturing that person, even though they're not interested right now or they're not looking right now, what that person has the ability to do is refer you to someone who might be looking. So by you consistently putting your stuff out there, what is going to happen is that person is going to say, hey, listen, I've been paying attention to Jared and Lyndon, and I don't immediately need their services, but I think you should talk to them.
Yeah.
And that is how you do that. So you consistently engage, even if they're not interested. No hard feelings. So again, there are many different ways that you can do that, but it all comes down as everything has to be a strategy, all along the lines of nurturing, putting your content out, engaging wherever that customer is. That customer could be in your CRM, that customer could be on your social platforms, wherever they are, you engage and you put your stuff out there.
And I'll give it this example. There's a guy called Brian Burns. I need to find the video. He spoke similar to what Lyndon talked about, which is latent needs. And the fact that 95% of your buyers actually they have a latent need. As they say, they don't actually need your product right now. And he gave the example of his neighborhood. He said the other day somebody called asking about tree cutting services, and he turned them down. But then he said later in the week, a freak storm passed in the area and a 100-year-old tree fall and crash into somebody's home. And he said that week he could have barely even gotten a park on the street because every single tree cutting company was out in their neighborhood cutting trees. Mm-hmm. So they went from having a latent need to something happening to actually having a need.
An immediate need, yeah.
But what happens, as weird as it sounds, is that that's a trigger event and that's something for nurturing. So the thing is, when you're prospecting, your question is how fast can you respond to when an event happens? So that's your first in it, especially when your market is competitive. So like if you're an air-conditioned person, how much content are you putting out that is nurturing your audience in that prospecting phase? If anything happens, they call you to fix it or they call you to buy your products and service.
Yeah.
And that's what you want to reach at.
That's what you want to reach at. There's a one particular area. I know that we wanna wrap up a little bit. And I'll tell you why the content is so important, right, guys? And this is just me sharing my experience, an experience based upon things that that has happened over the last couple of weeks. I had a customer call me last week, Wednesday, to ask me to help them find someone for a particular service that I am not involved in, right? But again, the reason why they're doing that is because they trust me. So they say, Lyndon, I'm looking for XYZ boy. Do you know anyone? And I was like, you're looking for that for what reason? Right? And then they explained it to me. I said, you know what? I may know somebody. Let me put my feelers out there. Let me make couple phone calls. And truth be told, 6 degrees of separation, I was able to identify somebody and point them into the direction of that customer. And they had the conversation, and somebody would be getting a sale and a customer getting the service. It has nothing to do with me, but I've built enough trust over time and this is not the first time that something like that has happened, right? I've built enough trust so that when customers are asking about ERP services, I don't provide ERP services. Yeah, I don't provide ERP services, but I understand the context. My apologies there on Instagram, JB. Someone just called, right? Yeah, so for the Instagram folks, for the Instagram folks, my apologies. Somebody just called and cut off the thing. So I don't provide ERP services, but I could understand the context as to why they need it. Hence the reason why a customer might call me for XYZ. And even if it's out of my scope, I've built my skill enough to ask the customer the right question so I could understand what the end result is. And once I understand what their end result is, I know who they're looking for, right? Yeah. I may not know the individual, but I could do my own research and say, you know what, I think I should talk to this guy. You understand? So again, building trust, taking the time to put the right type of information out there so that even if a customer not even looking for services from you, they can say, I need to talk to Jared, or I need to talk to Cassia, or I need to talk to TT Premier or Shedrack or whoever it is, right? Yeah. Because again, what you want to do is own the mental space of the customer. Mind share before
market share.
Market share.
But let us know, because I realized we didn't touch on exactly how to formulate the script and what you say. And I would love, if we do, let us know if you want us to do a next session where, you tell us your industry and we keep giving you the ideas of how you should be prospecting, because I like it. I don't know if anybody does. Give us some hearts on Instagram. Give us some thumbs up if you like that approach, because I don't mind doing it, because I think it's a lot of fun.
I'm open to that as well.
And that kind of helps everybody really formulate the exact thing of what to say in terms of what content to create, and then what to say if you actually do not cold outreach to somebody. Right? Because even when I think about the massage thing, I think it might, I have to think about that properly, because I think it would be so weird to throw somebody off their guard and say, listen, are you stressed? Like, here's the purpose of my call is to find out if you're stressed out. And you'd be like, what? What trippiness you asking? It's like, the reason I'm calling is that I'm from a massage therapy place. And we have found out that 80% of the clients that we call are stressed out. But through massages, they've been able to actually reduce that stress, being able to be more friendly and more productive in work and have less aches and pains that requires them to go by the
That's
doctor.
correct.
Is this
Yep.
something you may be interested in learning more about?
Yep.
And the person might say, what the heck? What? And you may have to repeat it, but you would get the attention.
Well, they
Some
haven't
may
told
hang
you,
up.
no, they haven't hung up on you, right? So
Exactly.
right. So, and yeah, Cassia, that's actually a good idea as well. So scripts could actually be a lead magnet as well. So
Correct.
as I
So
said,
yes.
there are many different reasons as to why, as to many different ways that we can prospect, guys. I would suggest that you follow what Jared is doing, you follow what I am doing. Again, we take different strategic approaches that will touch on different industries and different types of selling, but it's all valuable. And if it's one thing that I have done is, for me personally, I am like a sponge. I take pieces of everything and I try to stitch it together. And you know what? It works.
It's a beautiful
works.
Frankenstein of ideas.
Yeah.
Right? So,
You know, so
folks, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
we
We-
pushed
as
the
again-
envelope today, boy.
Yeah, this is the longest I
Yeah.
think we've ever done a live. Ever.
Yeah, we
But I
pushed
love the
envelope today.
engagement, especially on Instagram side. LinkedIn audience, thank you so much as always. But I want to do this next week. Y'all let us know again. Give us the hearts. I saw a couple come up. If y'all want us to just tell us what area you're in, like what's your field, what's your industry, we're just going to shoot out random ideas about how to prospect with regards to your script.
Yep.
All right. Oh, I see heart. So yeah, that's a yes. You're doing it. Next week.
Next
Good day,
week.
my brother.
All right. Have a good night, folks. Take care. Bye-bye, guys.
Woo. Lovely.